I love when I stumble upon a good Bigfoot story, and this one is interesting. In 2007, a paranormal website wrote an article about the government capturing a Bigfoot and then bringing it back to a facility to study it. This information comes from a whistleblower who claims he or she was there. This person stated that back in the 60s, the government captured a Bigfoot and they brought it to the Lawrence Livermore lab to study it. Now, this facility is not as famous as Area 51, but it's believed that they do a lot of top secret stuff there. I actually lived not too far away from this facility growing up, and I heard a lot of crazy stories, such as they experiment with time travel, portals, interdimensional travel, etc. So if the government did capture a Bigfoot and they wanted to study it, the Lawrence Livermore lab will be a perfect place. Now, this alleged whistleblower stated that not too long after they captured this Bigfoot, it had no problem escaping its enclosure. One day a janitor opened the door and the Bigfoot just walked out. Nobody knew it was there because it turned invisible. But it didn't escape the whole facility right away, it kind of just roamed around causing a ruckus. And not only was it able to turn invisible, but it could also walk through solid objects, so nobody could catch it. Then eventually it must have escaped the facility because there were no more sightings or encounters. It was also later determined that Bigfoot was in fact a fourth dimensional being. Now, after this failed experiment, the government somehow captured another one, but this time they were more prepared. They kept this creature under 24-hour surveillance. They also used special cameras that could detect when it was about to shift into the fourth dimension. But all this preparation and equipment didn't help one bit, as just like the first one, soon after it arrived, it escaped. The whistleblower stated, once it escaped, it roamed the labs for a couple of weeks just like the first one. Some nights it would enter into the break room and eat some of the leftover food. And the ones in charge relied on the employees to see if they could detect where the Bigfoot was, but that was impossible unless it wanted you to know it was there, as from time to time it would sneak up on people, just scaring the crap out of them. Now, everybody that worked here wanted this creature gone, so they opened up a path and started banging pots and pans trying to scare it out. And it must have worked because after they did this, they never had any more problems. No more scares or half-eaten food left out in the break room. Now, this whistleblower, who went by the name of Silver Eagle, also wrote in a later post that Bigfoot could not be detained, controlled, or communicated with. It was also thought to be alien in origin, and that the FBI spent a lot of money studying Bigfoot. Now, this is a pretty crazy story, and of course I'm highly skeptical, but there are other alleged accounts of Bigfoot being taken by the government, and I thought it was interesting that Silver Eagle said the FBI. In one of David Paulding's Missing 411 books, David stated that the FBI does not get involved when a grown-up goes missing. They will get involved if a child goes missing, but not a grown-up. In a lot of these Missing 411 cases, where an adult just mysteriously vanishes, the FBI shows up. But they won't take charge, they kind of just stay in the back and observe. Making me wonder, why are they there? Is it because of Bigfoot, aliens, or maybe something else entirely? And for the sake of argument, let's just say that Bigfoot does exist, and they are fourth dimensional beings. Would they be able to abduct someone and take them into the fourth dimension? And maybe this is why we never find any trace of that person. Except in some of those rare cases where we do find something of theirs that seem to just magically appear in a field years later looking brand new like it was just left there yesterday. Another Bigfoot story I've been wanting to cover happened last year when the Indian Army told the world that they had discovered Bigfoot or Yeti tracks. One day the Army's mountaineering expedition stumbled upon huge tracks in a very isolated region not too far away from Mount Everest. And this recon team was shocked, they couldn't believe what they were seeing. So they took pictures, and then the Army passed them on to the scientific community for verification. Now, what's interesting about this is these tracks are in a straight line. So people on Twitter started making fun of the tweet by the Indian Army, calling it a one-legged Yeti or a hopping Yeti. But according to Bigfoot researchers, Bigfoot does walk in a straight line. And I'm surprised because I didn't even know that. And Yeti or Bigfoot tracks can't be confused with bear tracks because of the gap between the strides. Here's another picture of alleged Bigfoot tracks. In this picture that was taken in Wisconsin, you can see deer tracks on the left, then Bigfoot tracks on the right. And not only is it in a straight line, but the stride is huge, and it appears that this Bigfoot was following the deer. Now, I couldn't find any updates about the Indian Army finding the tracks, but some websites said that it must be a bear. But wouldn't bear tracks be obvious to the soldiers who live here? So to me it's either an unknown animal or a hoax, and this isn't the first time Bigfoot tracks were found in this area. In 1952, an expedition led by the British also found huge tracks while they were trying to find a safer route up Mount Everest. And this story blew up around the world, making the Yeti famous worldwide. Another story I wanted to cover today is about a discovery that I forgot to put in my last video. Last week I made a video about hellhound sightings in England, And there was a discovery that was made not that long ago. One day, archaeologists were digging at an abbey in Suffolk, England, when they discovered a skeleton of a huge dog that was about 7 feet long. And what's fascinating about this discovery is they estimated that this dog was buried around the exact same time one of the most famous hellhound sightings occurred. In 1577, a huge black dog with fiery red eyes attacked people in 2 churches, killing 4 people during a very severe lightning storm. And this abbey where they found the skeleton is only a couple miles away from one of these churches. Interesting indeed. One historian stated, "The story of the Black Shuck has to have originated from somewhere. Who knows, it could have originated from the dog, which was buried here." Until next time, this is Paranormal Junkie. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.